from Paul, which is fun. So in the meantime, we'll dive into the show for everybody driving around. It was a good roundtable yet again. We really appreciate the time that Ben puts into it. Ben puts a lot of time into the roundtable with all the questions. And I think he always comes up with great questions for the roundtable. I think he does an excellent job. And a lot of discussion topics that we sometimes don't even think about. And it's kind of fun. I like doing the roundtable each and every Thursday. It's a good time, and a big thank you to Roundtable Pizza, obviously, for being the sponsor in that. This is great, dude. Just trying to log in. The number 1 key on here is broken. So when I hit 1, it just goes across the board. Oh, that's the wrong password. Well, you know what? No, it's not. Sorry, the keyboard doesn't work. What day of the week is it? It's Thursday. This is like all the stuff, the problems that you have on like a Monday. Finally logged in here. You're going to get an echo in a second until I mute myself. All right, we're locked in. We're ready to go. Padres won yesterday. That was good. That was fun to watch. Padres take 2 out of 3 from the Halos as they went 5-1 yesterday. Randy Vásquez, we're going to talk more about Randy Vásquez in just a little bit. Randy Vásquez, more than a back-end starter. He's been pretty good the last couple of starts. And yes, I know. Yes, Randy Vásquez has gone against the Pirates, and he's gone against the Angels, and he's gone against the Rockies. But the question about, is he better than a number 5 starter? I think he's got the potential to do so, and I'm not the only one that thinks that. His catcher, Martin Maldonado, has had another player that is at the end of his career that has had a good career. Might not show in a Padres uniform offensively, but the guy had a good career. He has caught a lot of great pitchers in his career. A lot of great pitchers in his career. Back in his time in Houston, he spent some time in Texas. And he went out and said yesterday to Kevin Acee and the local media that Randy Vásquez is as good as he wants to be. I think Randy Vásquez has a higher ceiling than we think. I mean, his biggest problem a lot of the times has been walks. If you look at his metrics, like the whiff, he doesn't have a lot of good whiff numbers. He didn't strike out a lot of players. He pitches the contact and he gets guys out, and he gets not a lot of hard contact against him. And Randy Vásquez has really done a good job in being the number 5 starter. He continues to get better. And the times that he hasn't been good, he has walked too many batters. And yesterday was a lot better. And we'll talk more about Randy Vásquez in the next segment. But 6 innings pitched, 1 run, 4 hits, 5 strikeouts, and the most notable stat yesterday from Randy Vásquez as a starter was 1 walk. Not the 4, 5, 6 walks that he's been doing in all of the games earlier in the season. And at the beginning part of the year, he was getting himself out of those trouble situations because it was only a matter of time before the floodgates opened, which happened in the middle there. And then since then, up until the Pirates series, he has been lights out the last couple of starts, especially for a number 5 starter. I thought he was a bright spot yesterday. I think he is trending in the right direction. Offensively, Xander Bogaerts led the way for the San Diego Padres. 1 for 4 night, only got the 1 hit, but it was a 3-run homer. That was good to see out of Xander. He tries to build up some confidence again. Hopefully he can get going a little bit. But a 3 RBI night on the 3-run homer by Xander Bogaerts. Machado continues to have a great start to the season. Extends his hitting streak to 14 games. We'll dive more into Manny Machado and the type of the player you are seeing out of Manny right now later on in the show. But 2 for 2, 2 runs scored, a couple of walks. Manny's been patient at the plate. And that first hit he had against Kyle Hendricks was an absolute seed return to sender. Jake Cronenworth had a good night last night, 2 for 3 with a double and a walk. He's been getting on base. Machado did roll his ankle in the 8th inning, but he ended up staying in the game. And the bullpen bounced back. I mean, you went from a bullpen for the San Diego Padres that was the best in Major League Baseball to a bullpen in the Padres the last 2 weeks that was the worst 2-week stretch or week and a half stretch in franchise history. Think about that for a second. There have been some bad Padres teams in the past. The bullpen this year went from being the best bullpen in Major League Baseball to having a stretch that was the worst stretch in franchise history. That's remarkable. I mean, that's insane. How does this happen? I thought Woods had the best answer today on the roundtable. I'm not married, so I don't know. But he was like, we got 3 guys on this panel that we got like 3 or 4 guys on this panel that are married. It's like being married. 1 week, everything's great. The next week, I don't even know who this person is anymore. Same thing with the volatile bullpen. I'm not concerned about the bullpen despite the week that they had where everybody seemed to be off their game. It's better to have it now in May than it is later in the season. So the Padres again, I mean, what a difference a couple of days make. I mean, Monday, people were jumping off the bandwagon on Monday, man. It's like, geez, slow your roll. It's going to be some ups and downs. It's good to get 2 out of 3. You continue your pace of winning 2 out of 3 games, winning series. And the San Diego Padres are on pace for 100 wins. Are they going to get to 100 wins? I was the only one on the roundtable that thought they have the ability to do so. I don't think anybody's really in the betting mind to potentially say with full confidence that the Padres will win 100 games. I understand the logic on all of that as well, especially with the competition that the Padres still have to play in the division. The 2 reasons why I think the Padres can win 100 games. One, I think their style of play. I think their style of play suits going on runs and being able to beat teams that are really good despite what the schedule may lie ahead for the Padres. Despite having to play the Dodgers 13 times, despite having to play the Diamondbacks 13 times, despite having to play the Giants 11 more times, and knowing that you've already played the Rockies 6 times off your list. The style of play is a style of play that can win you 100 games. It's the pressure that they put on other teams. You don't need to have the long ball to be a good baseball team. Does it help? Yes. Absolutely. I'm not saying the Padres need to not hit any home runs. But what I'm saying is it's not as big of a factor as a lot of people want to say. Home runs are exciting. You know, one swing of the bat, you're putting runs on the board. It's obviously the most efficient way to score. But the way the Padres are built, with a lot of line drive guys, the way Petco Park is with having playing 2 hitters that are line drive hitters and gap-to-gap hitters, the home runs will come, but the Padres style of play will win everywhere in any type of year. It will win in October. It will win on the East Coast. It will win in bandboxes. It will win in spacious ballparks. The style of play for the Padres will win. And so by their style of play, I think they're going to have an opportunity to potentially win 100 games. I think they have an opportunity to go out and break the all-time record for the Padres in most wins in a season, which was 98 and 98. They have the ability to do that because of the style of play. Now, there are holes. I mean, you're not getting any production out of left field. Your catching position is strictly defense. Your bullpen has shown a couple of signs of potentially leaking holes. I mean, it's not like the Padres are a perfect team. But number one reason why I think they could potentially win 100 games is because of their style of play. Number 2, the other reason, and here's my counter argument to the whole they got to go win, they got a tough competition with their division. The year the Giants overtook the division against the Dodgers that broke up that 10-game or 10-year stretch where the Dodgers are winning division every single year was they continued to apply pressure throughout the season. We talked about this yesterday. With the Padres continuing to win games, they're going to continue to put pressure on other teams. Even though those teams are very good, it's difficult for them to play with pressure. Padres can play with pressure. They've proven that they can do that. But when you continue to win and you make other teams have to win, it's going to be a race for the finish. And you're getting into a race, you're going to be competing with the division, you're going to be going after wins. What was the biggest thing for the 98 team why they didn't win 100 games? They had a rough September. What else was part of that conversation of why they couldn't get to 100 wins? Not only did they have a rough September, but they didn't have any pressure from anybody else in the division. It was just them. It was just the Padres. There was nobody else they were competing with. When you have to compete and you get into a race, yes, you get tired, but you are racking up wins because you know each and every night you got to go get the job done. So from those two components, the style of play and applying pressure to the rest of the division by continuing to win and getting yourself in a race, right? It's a tight race in the National League West. Those are two reasons why this team can win 100 games this year, why they can continue the pace that they are on. The other thing, they have gotten great starting pitching, and they have gotten great starting pitching by their number 4 and 5 starters. They're getting Darvish back, which will get you an update on that later in the show. But a lot of it has to do with Randy Vásquez. And the question is Randy Vásquez more than a back-end starter? We're going to take a deeper dive into that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. at 5 o'clock. It will re-air at 5 o'clock on 97.3 The Fan. If it will also be on social media, or sorry, YouTube. It is already on YouTube, as a matter of fact. So if you missed the roundtable, you can check it out on YouTube. Be sure to give us a like in the YouTube chat. We really appreciate that for everybody that's watching online. If you want to join the show today, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Again, if you give us a like, we really appreciate it. Subscribe to 97.3 The Fan. Come on over and give us hit the subscribe button. What that subscribe button does, you don't have to pay for anything. What it does is it's an easy place to find us when you jump on YouTube the next day. You don't have to search for us. And I know a lot of you, we see the analytics. Sometimes you get a lot of you are searching for it. Subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. It makes it a lot easier. You guys are here every day, all the time. We really appreciate that. Make it easier on yourselves. Hit subscribe. Hit like. Helps us out. Thank you. Randy Vásquez. Randy Vásquez did pretty well last night. He has thrown back-to-back quality starts, has a 2.12 ERA over his last 3 outings against the Pirates, Rockies, and Angels. Notably reduced his walk rate after a rough start to the season. He's done great with that. Improved strike throwing, first pitch strike rate, control of counts. Despite weaker opponents, his underlying numbers suggest very legit progress. And Martín Maldonado, when talking about Randy Vásquez, had this to say about Vásquez. Martín Maldonado said, Vásquez has the stuff to be, quote, as good as he wants to be. I think Randy Vásquez might be an underlying success story potentially for the Padres. And just talks about that Juan Soto trade benefiting again for San Diego. You talk about Michael King. You talk about trading Drew Thorpe to the White Sox as part of the deal to get Dylan Cease. Randy Vásquez has been a big asset for the Padres being the number 5 starter, but is he just a number 5 starter? Mike Schilt liked his outing yesterday. Who wouldn't? Here's what Mike Schilt had to say about Randy Vásquez's game and his growth as a starting pitcher.
Yeah, he's been really good. Him and Malty are working really well together. Controlling counts, moving the ball around. He's pitching. He's changing speeds. The cutter's been good. Got it working a little bit later today. Really effective for him, getting up barrels, and controlling counts, getting lead outs. He's pitching really well.
I mean, you guys have had such confidence in him since you got him. How much of this is like him going, oh yeah, I can throw strikes and get guys out in the zone?
Yeah, I think that's, I think he clearly feels that. I think he feels like he can get outs and strikes. So I'm looking in the big leagues, you pretty much have to. And he's not a big swing and miss guy, but he like I said, gets up the barrel, out of soft contact, controls counts, works both sides of the plate, up and down. He just pitches and gets guys out of their rhythm.
Manager Mike Schilt talking about Randy Vásquez. He pitched the contact, a lot of weak contact for Randy Vásquez. Again, he's not necessarily the biggest whiff guy, but you don't have to be. We talked about Randy Jones a little bit on the roundtable. Randy Jones being the underappreciated player that's not in the Hall of Fame because he doesn't have Hall of Fame numbers, but had a great career. And Randy Jones was not a high whiff guy. He would get guys out. Let me drop it in front of the plate about 3 feet and have the guy swing at it. Let me get a rollover ground ball to get out of an inning. But Randy Jones, and I'm not comparing Randy Vásquez to Randy Jones, but the thing that Randy Jones used to say all the time when I used to have him on the pregame show back in the day, these guys fail 70% of the time and are in the Hall of Fame. Let them do it. And Randy Vásquez is doing exactly that. I think a lot of people always want to see those high whiff guys. You see guys like Hunter Green out there throwing 100 miles an hour and missing bats and loading up on strikeouts, right? Like Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease is a high strikeout guy. There's multiple ways to get guys out. Randy Vásquez almost had something like click when he was in Pittsburgh. He led the major leagues with 24 walks through his first 7 starts, which included the start in Pittsburgh. He has walked 1 batter each of his past 2 starts. Quote from Vásquez. Obviously, at the beginning, it was like 4 or 5 walks a game, but we're now getting down to about 2, which is really eliminating a lot of the big issues out there. He said that night, he knew he was trying to be too fine the night that he had in Pittsburgh, where something kind of clicked for Randy Vásquez. He said that night, as reported in the daily newsletter by Kevin Acee, he was trying to be too fine when he was ahead in counts. He said he knew he needed to just throw strikes and trust his pitches, and then he started doing it. Quote from Martin Maldonado. It's understanding that when he has, what he has is enough. It's common with a lot of pitchers. They want to strike out guys. That's when you see the 0-2 pitch, 1-2 pitch. Then they want to be perfect. His confidence is up right now. He's feeling good. That game in Colorado, and today he was controlling the counts. Interesting information that Kevin Acee found about Randy Vásquez. Vásquez was allowing a .240 batting average and a .387 on base percentage after being ahead in counts 1 and 2 through his first 7 starts. The Rockies and Angels, now, albeit not great baseball teams, not great offensive baseball teams, but against the Rockies and the Angels, they were 1 for 13 after Vásquez got ahead in the count 1 and 2. Vásquez was allowing a .333 batting average with a .487 on base percentage with 2 outs through 7 starts. Against the Colorado Rockies and the Los Angeles Angels, he went 1 for 10 and walked once with 2 outs. Vásquez was throwing first pitch strikes 54% of the time his first 7 starts. He did so at a 67% rate his past 2 starts. He was at a 1 and 2. He was at 1 and 2, an average of 3.5 times a game, and 2 and 1, 5.3 times a game over his first 7 starts. Those numbers are pretty much reversed in his past 2 starts. As Maldonado said, who's been catching Randy Vásquez the whole year, pretty simple. You control those counts. You're going to be able to pitch into the 6th, into the 7th, and you're going to limit damage. Vásquez had a 4.87 ERA and a 1.51 whip last season in 20 starts. He began 2025 by somehow posting a 1.74 ERA over his first 4 starts while yielding a 1.35 whip. There's obviously so much traffic that pitchers can deal with. So eventually, the levee was going to break, and it did against Detroit, it did against Tampa, where all of a sudden you thought there was a scare of Randy Vásquez going back to 2024 Randy Vásquez. Oh boy, here we go. He's not improving. This is a problem. He's still a very young pitcher. But now, and you can't just take out bad starts and look at your numbers. But if you take out the 2 bad starts that Randy Vásquez had, he has a 1.51 ERA this season. Now, in comparison to Dylan Cease, if you take out Dylan Cease's worst 2 starts this year, he has a 3 ERA. Just think about that in the perspective of just how good Randy Vásquez has been when he's been on. That says a lot about what Randy Vásquez has done in the bulk of the season. We know he's not Dylan Cease. We know he's not Michael King. He may not even be Nick Pivetta. But the Padres in their scouting department insist the past 2 years that Vásquez has the stuff to win consistently in the major leagues. And what we have seen the last couple of games possibly is validating those comments. And if that is the case, San Diego Padres are going to be in a really good spot. I think Randy Vásquez can help this team in the future. I think Randy Vásquez can help this team this year. I saw him last year. I thought he had a lot of potential. I thought he had way more potential than a guy like Matt Waldron. Matt Waldron is a one-pitch guy, the knuckleball. Kyle Hart is the same as Matt Waldron. One-pitch guy. It happens to be a sweeper. Randy Vásquez was a thrower. Ruben Niebla is training him to be a pitcher. And like I was going to say with the bullpen, and it's kind of happened with the starting rotation too, and why I'm not worried about long-term bullpen problems, just as I'm not worried about starting pitching problems. When a pitcher struggles for the Padres in the Ruben Niebla era, they do not struggle for very long. They make the adjustment. We will talk about it a little bit later in the show. Darvish is expected to be back. Had a good update. He had a good outing. Should be back sooner rather than later. But you look at the way Randy Vásquez has pitched all year. I don't know how you can take Randy Vásquez out of the rotation at all. I don't know how you can do it. And that's talking about another pitcher in Stephen Kolek who pitches tomorrow. We'll see how he does tomorrow against his former organization. But we're talking about a pitcher that is pitching tomorrow that has gone 14 and a half innings without surrendering a run. This is not a bad problem to have, by the way. It's a very good problem to have. Maybe the Padres have more pitching depth than we thought from the starter sense. And if Randy can continue to grow off this, he's got years of control, and all of a sudden, maybe he factors into the future part of the rotation. I don't think he projects to be an ace. I don't think he projects to be a number 2. But a 3, 4, 5 starter that is young and controllable, that's going to play here in San Diego, especially in the ballpark they play in. And so maybe it's a little bit different. Maybe it's a little bit better for the Padres moving forward when it comes to Randy Vásquez. I like his improvement. I like what he's doing. I think he could be a little bit better than a number 5 starter, but he's done such a great job in that role that if Randy Vásquez is your number 5, you're in a really good place come end of the season and come October. And in October, you don't even need him to pitch as a starter. But maybe you do. So maybe with Randy Vásquez being your number 4, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but you got to start thinking about it in terms of playoff baseball, right? Who is the guy in the rotation that you feel the most comfortable with moving to the bullpen? Because you only need 4 starters. You really need 3.5 in a starting rotation in the postseason. Out of all starters that the Padres have, the one that I trust the most in the bullpen is not Michael King, who just came over from the bullpen. Stephen Kolek wouldn't be necessarily part of this equation, but not him, although I think he probably moves to the bullpen come playoff time if he's on the playoff roster. Again, this is way down the road. But it ain't Pivetta, it ain't King, and it's probably not Cease. It's the veteran who you should never be concerned about in Darvish. That is the guy, to me, that would probably move to the bullpen while everybody else fits in a spot in the starting rotation. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Padres beat the Angels yesterday by a score of 5-1. Manny Machado's off to a great start to start the year. We're going to talk about more Manny Machado coming up in the lunchtime hour. Brandon Lockridge could potentially be a long-term fit in left field. I don't think he's at that point yet, but he's starting to get more opportunity now with Jason Hayward struggling. We'll talk about him at 12:15. In the 1 o'clock hour, we'll get you the update on Darvish nearing a return. Yesterday, pitched 4 innings against Las Vegas for the El Paso Chihuahuas. Allowed 2 runs on 2 hits, including a 2-run homer in the first inning, but he struck out 4, walked 1. And the most important thing, he threw 51 pitches, just shy of his targeted 60 to 65 pitch count. but it suggests that he could be coming back sooner rather than later. We'll talk about what the Padres can do after that. San Diego FC got a win yesterday. We'll get you a minor league update, talk a little bit about the NBA and the NHL playoffs that happened over the last couple of days. But when we come back, we're going to go to the other side. Talk about the umpiring side as we bring in former MLB umpire Mike Winters joins the show when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. 11:40 and a beautiful day in America's finest city. Braden Surprenant here on the Braden Surprenant Show alongside Frank Marchese as we get you ready for no Padres baseball today. It's a Padres off day. They'll be back in action for the Vetter Cup tomorrow. Full Vetter Cup preview with Frank Marchese tomorrow. He's going to lay in all of the great Pearl Jam songs for us to talk about the Mariners and the Padres. Huh?
No, because we get yelled at on YouTube and on Spotify for that.
I didn't say you had to play the music.
Well, I mean,
You probably wouldn't get you wouldn't get yelled at if you sang it yourself.
I'll just get like an 8-bit version.
Yeah.
Some royalty-free 8-bit version.
There you go. Joining us now on the Braden Surprenant Show, we go to the other side and get the umpire perspective. We're going to have him on throughout the year a couple of times, probably more so to explain some rules of some events that have happened. We haven't had too many controversial plays yet in the Padres season, but he is a San Diegan, born in Oceanside, went to San Diego State, had a long and great career as a major league umpire, former MLB umpire and San Diego native, and Mike Winters joining us on the Braden Surprenant Show. Mike, what's going on, man?
Hey, Braden, thanks for having me on.
Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Not a lot of controversial things that we really need to pick at currently that have affected the Padres. I'm sure we could talk about how, the some of the strikes and balls have been called in certain spots. But I kind of want to get to know, you and how you got to being a MLB umpire from somebody being here in San Diego. I mean, at what point when you were growing up or getting through college where you were like, I want to start umpiring and I want to make this my career choice?
Well, I grew up here in San Diego in Claremont and played Little League at the Claremont Hilltoppers Little League. And when I aged out of playing, they had a program for teens to learn how to umpire so they could umpire the games there. And I started doing that for $2.50 a game, which I thought was a fortune at the time, and fell in love with it immediately. And I kept wanting to learn more. And I reached out to, at that time, it was Al Summers Umpire School, which then became Harry Wendelstedt's Umpire School, now Hunter, for information back in the day when you had to look at the sporting news and actually send a postcard to the place to get info. And they sent this packet back on come to Daytona Beach and learn how to be an umpire and all that. And I thought, wow, that'd be really cool. And I just kept, learning and doing higher games and trying to get better. And eventually went to umpire school at about age 22 and got put into the low minor leagues. And then the fun starts.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. When you got the call to be to get an opportunity to umpire a big league game for the first time, all these players have this big day for their debut. Don't really see it too much for the umpires. Obviously, I think it's a built-in stereotype or for fans to be upset if something doesn't go their way. But for you, what was it like to walk on an MLB field for the first time, knowing that you were going to umpire a game in any position of on the field?
Absolutely thrilling, nerve-wracking, scared to death, excited. Yeah, all the emotions I'm sure every player would ever go through. And it was funny, my first game was in Dodger Stadium. I grew up 2 hours from it. It was the first time I'd ever been there.
Wow.
And yeah, so I was like, wow, this is incredible. Yeah.
I'm talking with Mike Winters, former MLB umpire, who served from 1988 to 2019, had an illustrious career, multiple World Series, and you've gotten to umpire a lot of events. I mean, and when you're in the game, obviously you don't want to, you have to be neutral on everything. So there's not so much appreciation that you can have in game, but out of all of those moments that you've been able to witness, and for umpires, when those games end and you see something crazy, because you can always see something crazy at a big league park, and you witnessed Frank Thomas's 500th career home run. You've called games that were no hitters. You have been part of World Series and playoff games. At what point do you really appreciate when you see some greatness happen in front of you?
There are times you appreciate it as it's happening. Then there are others where you're just trying to do your job and get everything be perfect all the time and just get the pitch or the play right. That's the bottom line. People are often surprised when I say that. You know, it's like we're not thinking of anything but just being right. Just get this pitch right. Get this call right. That's all we're trying to do. But yeah, I was fortunate to be on the field for a lot of those things. I think Mark McGuire's breaking Roger Maris's record in that was 97, I believe, 98. It was, I remember it because of the date, 9/8/98, and that was incredible. That might have been the most thrilling because we were there in St. Louis for 5 days, and we watched him hit 60, 61, and 62 during that time. It wasn't like a surprise that it was going to happen. It was coming. We just didn't know if we were going to be the ones on the field for it.
I've always wanted to know, and I'm a football coach in town, and we do a lot of film breakdown, and I know from a baseball standpoint, there's a lot more film in the game, and for umpires, you guys have a very grueling evaluation that a lot of fans don't seem to really buy into about how rigorous it is. For you, after a game, especially behind home plate, what was the process like for yourself, making yourself better every time and watching your own tape, and then from the eval, from the association of the umpires that evaluate you as you go through this? Because I know it's a very rigorous event for a lot of umpires, and they do a really good job of trying to get everything right.
Yeah, it's even more rigorous today than when I was working, certainly at the beginning. Beginning, you were pretty much on your own, talking to your crewmates, and you'll get the odd bit of video. So this is back in the early 90s, and you get video, which today you look at it and you think, oh my God, it's like I'm watching 1950s stuff. But yeah, so you would do a lot of self-reflection and trying to get better. And as the years went by, there was more, you get a computer disc, they would drop it off to you the next day, and you go and pop it in and, look at your misses, and which is what everybody goes to. You'd say you had a 97% correct average, but you automatically go to, let's look at the negative ones. And it's like, wait, I got 97% of them right. That's pretty good. But the ones that you miss are the ones that you try to get better at. And I always felt it's not so much the number, but the location. If the misses, and that's true today, and everything's so fine today. So I know it's changing a lot because there's no room for error at all. But I always felt that the miss was, it's so close. It's like, you can't worry about those ones that are just so close that they can go either way. It's the ones, if you just blatantly miss one, a ball that is totally in the strike zone, or a ball that is well off the plate. Those are the ones you're like, okay, what did I do wrong there? Did I just not concentrate? Did I not see it well? Did I not follow it all the way with my eyes? A lot of different things can come into it. But yeah, the margin for error has been reduced to zero for today's game.
Last thing I kind of am curious, and it kind of involves the Padres, but also just in this day and age of technology that all these teams have access to with the iPads and video watching equipment that they have in the dugouts, and being able to in real time with the strike zone box, which is not 100% accurate. When you have a lot of those situations where, as an umpire, you call it a ball or strike, and the batter or pitcher disagrees, and then now they go back and look at it. If they're wrong, do they come back and say, hey, that we were wrong? Is there any type of communication after the fact? I'm sure if they think you got it wrong, they'll probably have some comments, but is there more communication now as the game goes on between players and umpires? And how do umpires take that? And how do players take that if either of them are wrong that you've observed?
Yeah, they do come back from time to time. It's not 100%, but they'll say, hey, you know what, I looked at it, you were right. Sorry about that. That happened back in the day with just, regular videotape, but now they're looking at, the digitized thing and the box and all that, but they do come back occasionally. And at times they'll say, hey, you know what, I looked at it. Would you make sure you look at it? So sure. It's all in how it's delivered. If a guy is screaming at you, that's not going to go over well. But if someone is polite and, asks you politely, and it's like, yeah, I'll be sure to take a look.
Last thing for you, Mike. In this day and age of youth sports, they're always looking for umpires, looking for referees. They're looking for, and that's across all sports. I mean, we have a shortage right now at the high school football level for football officials, and San Diego's produced a lot of NFL officials. For anybody that might be on the fence of being an umpire or an official that might need the push, what is one selling point that you would tell somebody about to go be an umpire or go be a referee in some sport?
Well, if anybody's interested at all, give it a try. Just give it a try. It is a remarkable look at a game that you probably love already, and I promise you'll love it more after you officiate it. And you will learn right away whether if you're cut out for it or not. It's one of those like touching the hot stove thing. It's either you're good at it and you're going to learn from it, or it's just not for you. You'll find out immediately. But you will love the game that you officiate even more. You'll appreciate it, and you'll never look at the game the same way again. You'll always watch the officials first, and the players second.
I know Chris Ello does that as a local high school basketball official. Mike,
Chris and I talk about that all the time.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to step on.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally understand. I used to umpire a long time ago, and I umpired for 15 years doing Scripps Ranch Little League for a long period of time.
You get it.
Yeah, calling balls and strikes. Right. It's a little bit different, though, than I know the managers are getting paid a lot of money in Major League Baseball, but the parents have their kid in the game. They have the skin of the game with their child, and that's always a little bit more ferocious. And when you're a 12-year-old kid trying to tell a 40-year-old man to keep his mouth shut, it's a little bit of a different animal sometimes.
I've lived through that. That was back in the day. It's how I got started. It's like, hey, knock it off.
That's right. But Mike, I appreciate the time. We're waiting for, I know any type of rule analysis that we'll need, we'll give you a phone call, especially you never know what you're going to see in baseball. So I'm sure it's coming soon. Mike, I appreciate the time, man. Thanks again.
Anytime. Thanks, Braden.
We're going to move our sports thread to the top of the hour. There's a lot of interesting things. I mean, again, with Mike Winters, being here in San Diego, he's such a huge asset for us to have in town. And he's had a lot of the games evaluating umpires at Petco Park. And I know Chris Ello has long conversations with Mike in the press box about officiating and everything like that. But, when you get big time plays that happen and you want to need a rules interpretation, a lot of times I need a rules interpretation because I don't know what the major league rule is. And some things I think for later on to ask Mike is about, how do umpires feel about the reviews in the replay review of the ball and strikes and everything like that. But I tell you what, I had one time I was umpiring a game in Scripps Ranch Little League. Oh, it's got to be more than 10 years ago because I might have been in high school. And the pitches were coming in, again, like in the dugout view, and I have some perspective of this sometimes. And the best for me is like when I'm doing USD games, like Brock and staff, well, they'll air it out sometimes to the umpire, and I'll be sitting there up in the booth, and you can't see inside and outside from the dugouts. You can't see it at all. You can just see height. And so there was one time I was umpiring a game, it was a majors game over at Jerebeck Park, and I won't say the coach's name, but he was just like on my ass about a pitch, and it was a foot off the plate. I mean, it wasn't even close. And he was like, "You got to give me." It's like the first inning. I'm a high school kid, so now it's like I don't care, dude. I'm gonna be calling it how I call it. I'm not. You can't intimidate me like you intimidate the 12-year-olds. So he was just like outside, just shake my head, right? I'm like, no, it's the ball. He's asking for it. I'm like ignoring him. Then again, you gotta give me that. I'm like, no. He does it again. I said, Coach, you better keep your mouth shut, or you're gonna be watching the rest of this game in the parking lot. Didn't have any issues after that.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
But I mean, don't
be bullying the kid umpires either. I remember, I don't want to interrupt. I came back from college, and they knew I used to umpire, and they needed an umpire. They gave me a call. I'm a youthful looking person. Before the mustache, I get ID'd a lot. And so the guy thought it was this guy tried to bully me in one of the calls, and I'm like looking at him like, dude, are you good? Like, no, this is what I saw. I am old enough to buy a beer now. I'm not going to be intimidated like I'm a 12-year-old, like I used to be when I was a kid umpire. You got to lay down the law early. Lay it down early in the pregame conversation. But I remember he wanted me to overturn some. I'm like, first of all, no, that's not how this works. 2, you need an appeal. I'm like going on a tangent. No way. We're going to say we got enough time here.
Oh, I was going to say, I loved such a great interview with Mike, and he's 100% right. If you want to appreciate a sport more, I hang signs with V Group signs every now and again. It gives you a different look at a sport and what it takes to get a sporting event going on, and you love and appreciate that sport so much more. So he's absolutely right when he says that.
We need high school football officials really bad. If you want to get yelled at by me every Friday night, go sign up. Just kidding. Noon hour, lunchtime hour coming up next. Seneca's number sports station 97 through the Fan. Baseball coverage on 97 through the fans presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com and get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. Braden Surprenant, Frank Marchese, Braden Surprenant Show. 2 hours left. Roundtable took up the first hour of the show. Great conversation with Ben and Woods and Gwen and Chris and Matt Scraby. Always a fun time on the Roundtable. If you missed any of it, you could tune in again at 5 o'clock. They'll re-air it. I will be at USD today, hence the polo. The Toreros are a win away from potentially clinching the regular season championship in the West Coast Conference. If they beat Pacific one of the next 3 games. They will play tonight at 6. They will play tomorrow at 6. They will play Saturday at 1. I'll let you know how it goes. But I'll be there on the call. Hopefully Brock Ungerich and company can get the job done. Next week, they'll be in Vegas for the West Coast Conference Tournament. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We'll get to your phone calls in just a little bit, but first, Frank Marchese has planned for us a sports thread today.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
Frank Marchese, what's going on?
Mic on. Got it. All right.
Good check.
We messed that part up yesterday.
Yeah, Wednesdays are tough, you know?
Yeah, spring training for all of us.
Number 1.
All right, Draymond Green is at it again for the Golden State Warriors, this time getting hit in the pocketbook. Draymond was fined $50,000 by the NBA yesterday for, quote, making inappropriate comments that questioned the integrity of game officials. Green fouled out with 4:38 left in Tuesday's loss to the Minnesota T-Wolves and was seen on the bench by television cameras mouthing 5.5 point spread during a timeout with 15.2 seconds left in the game. The Warriors hit a 3 with 5.3 seconds left to make it 102-97, which by my maths is...
Don't do math on the radio.
Under 5.5. Draymond has accrued $992,000 in fines throughout his career, including 5 technical fouls this postseason alone. Green has always been known as kind of a hothead, but how has he not learned to curb his attitude, especially when the Warriors are in such a critical situation?
Because he doesn't take accountability on a lot of this stuff. I mean, he was saying the other day, like to the media, how they try to portray him as something that he's not, and that's why he doesn't want to talk to the media, and he stormed out. I mean, eventually he has to take accountability for his actions, and his actions constantly speak louder than the words that he drops on his podcast and everything else like that. I mean, he's got to be able to lock it in. You know, I don't know why it's taken him so long in his career to get to this point, but I mean, he's a longtime veteran now, and these technical fouls are costing the Golden State Warriors, and to me, it's a little selfish play more than anything else. But until he overcomes that and figures it out on his own, he will just continue to make the same mistakes.
Especially at a time where you're missing Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is expecting you to do absolutely nothing in this series now that Curry's gone. It's the perfect time for you to step up, especially being a key contributor to those championship teams.
Yeah.
It's just foolish on his part.
Number 2.
We talked yesterday about the sale of the Portland Trail Blazers and the report that Nike co-founder Phil Knight was leading the potential list of candidates to purchase the team. Turns out that was a bit premature. Knight has said he is not pursuing the purchase of the Blazers, citing age as his reason. In a statement released by Nike, Knight said, quote, 5 years ago, I had great interest in being part of the Portland Trail Blazers franchise. However, at my current age, I can confirm I no longer have interest in acquiring the team. The Paul Allen Trust has owned the team since Allen passed away in 2018. Seeing the direction that these things usually go, is it refreshing to see a guy like Knight, who is a young, spry, 87 years old, by the way, realize that he is not fit enough to take on this endeavor?
What was the first part of that question?
Is it a breath of fresh air?
Yes, it is. It is a breath of fresh air. Sometimes the ego takes over, but he understands that he can't run a team at this age. He's already trying to run the Oregon Ducks athletic department, basically, as the main owner of the NIL funds for Oregon. He is on the quest to try to win a national championship in football for the Oregon Ducks. I think that takes up most of his time. Now, that being said, I think at his age, I mean, why start a project at 87, right? I mean, it's a project. That's something that you get into, like he mentioned, like even like 10 years ago. He could have got into it, ran the team for a decade, and then sold it or whatever. So maybe it opens the door for somebody to move him.
Yeah, possibly. Seattle come a calling.
Number 3.
As he usually does at the NBA. The NHL has taken action against one of the minority owners of the reigning defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. No, not for anything cool like making late payments or bank fraud like former New York Islanders owner John Spano. It's for something.
That seems like a personal deep down issue for you.
Oh, you know. It's for something way dumber.
All right.
Panthers minority owner Doug Sifu was suspended from any involvement from his team or in the NHL because he got into a social media spat with a Toronto Maple Leafs fan after Sunday night's win. The comments ranged from the game, but took a big ol' swerve into hot button political topics that the NHL did not appreciate.
Wanted to probably disassociate themselves from any political talk whatsoever.
Braden, how does someone in this dude's immediate circle not see him doing this and go, "Are you good?
Bro, shut up. Stop."
Like, what are you doing?
Do not argue with people on social media. It's a waste of time. It's a fool's errand. It makes you a fool. You're never going to win. You are yelling at a wall. They will never listen to you. They will just continue to throw out BS comments, whatever. And if you're in a position of power and in a position to lose important things, never, ever get into a spat with any type of fan. I've seen it happen too many times. As an owner, you should never do it. As a player, you should never do it. And you should just never engage in any type of social media conversations. There's no winning for you. Let's say you even win the argument. What does that do? Are you going to hang a banner in the arena? Took down Maple Leafs fan in social media talk. Good
Bravo.
for you. So the same thing happened to Trevon Boykin. We remember the TCU Horned Frogs. Down in the Alamo Bowl, two nights before the game, getting into a spat at a bar with some Oregon fans that were chirping him. They almost got him out of the building. Turns around, knocks a guy out. Unfortunately, it wasn't the Oregon fan. It was a guy wearing a badge. And that doesn't end well for you ever. Just ignore the fans, ignore the heat, ignore the hate, and don't tweet. It's the best thing you could ever do. Don't tweet.
I don't understand. I really don't get it.
Number 4.
Ronald Acuna Jr. made a splash on, you guessed it, social media. Back on April 19th, it led to some major backlash from media, fans, and within the Atlanta Bravos organization. After Jared Kelnick was tagged out at second after Cadillacing it on a ball he thought he hit out, Acuna posted, quote, "If it were me, they would have taken me out of the game." This caused quite a stir in Braves country and he has now, as of yesterday, led to Acuna's apologizing to the team and to manager Brian Snitker. Acuna said the comment came from frustration as he was unable to help the team while they were losing during their rough start during the season. Buy or sell this explanation.
The explanation from Acuna of
Yes.
why he was commenting on. I mean,
Because he was frustrated that he
I'm
was
selling
unavailable.
That's an excuse.
Yes.
I do think, when you're a leader type, if you're part of the leadership of the team, you should be held to a higher standard. I think that entire thing was blown out of proportion. I think Brian Snitker, the way he answered the questions that he got, post didn't make anything better about the situation, but I think the media went with, it's. I don't need media members making things a bigger deal than they are that have never been in a clubhouse.
What
or
are we for then?
I mean, but at least
I
have
say
some
that sarcastically.
I know, but like Ken Rosenthal, dude's never ever been part of a team. What is and the things that he threw out about Snitker were just so far out in left field. Accusing him of things is just like, are you good? But he likes to stir up controversy. So Acuna, again, don't tweet it out. You could be disgruntled about it. You could be upset about it, right? But just don't put it out on social media. Keep it to yourself. Or if you have a problem with it, talk to Brian Snitker. Talk to Brian Snitker about it. Well, how come he probably would have gave you an explanation of why he didn't take out so-and-so, and he took out Acuna. I mean, but don't air out your grievances online for the world to see. I think that's a good lesson to be learned from today's sports thread, apparently.
Don't tweet. 2 simple words.
Number 5.
There may be changes coming to the college football playoff after all.
Here we go.
The NCAA powers that be are in discussion about a tweak to the college football playoffs that will go into effect this year, if passed. The change would eliminate the first round buys for conference champions and go to a straight seeding format. This would mean that 1 and 12 would play directly instead of 1 waiting for the winner of 8 versus 9, etc. The proposal requires approval from all 10 FBS conferences and Notre Dame. The Big Ten and SEC have also shown their support for this plan, along with the ACC and the Big 12. The current 12-team format is set to expire at the end of this season. Would the NCAA be making the correct decision by implementing straight seeding and eliminating the first-round bye?
Yes and no. I think you should get a benefit of winning your conference more than just making the college football playoff. I think this just goes in line of the future of just the SEC and the Big Ten having their own thing and cutting everybody out. So from that perspective, I'm totally against this. And I also the reason why I'm against this is because they didn't get the result. The results of last year of 1 year causing a knee-jerk reaction. Just let it play out. Just let it play out. Nobody's having a knee-jerk reaction for the NBA when you had a 6 seed going against a 7 seed in the semifinals of the Western Conference. Nobody's freaking out about that. Now it's different. It's apples and oranges. They're all professional teams. These are not all professional teams in college. I get it. But at the same time, just because those teams won the teams won in the first round at home and then won in the bye, doesn't mean that you got to change everything immediately. You should get some type of reward for winning your conference. But as I've said multiple times, make it a 24-team bracket, make it all automatic qualifiers, get humans out of there that want to make money off of it. That's the ultimate thing. Are we trying to create entertainment? Are we trying to find a champion? Do not find the entertainment and then gaslight me into saying it's trying to find the best team in college football. I will not buy your BS, sir. No, I will not. But that being said, I don't care what they do, just as long as
they don't post on social media.
Well, yeah, they should probably never post on social media. The less human involvement in determining who makes the playoff, the better it will be for college football.
It's college sports in general.
Yes, I would agree with that. And stop letting the 2 higher conferences control everything because they have the biggest fan bases, not because they're the best.
The article that I read from CBS Sports was focused on the ACC and the Big 12 being in on this and kind of mentioned the Big Ten and SEC in passing. So it was focused on ACC and Big 12 conference approval of this.
Well, those
And
are the
kind
teams
of-
those are the other conferences that they're allies in that they got to convince.
No, I understand that, but when you're thinking of big time, big shot conferences, the conferences that are going to fill up most of the bracket, you would think the Big 12, the Big 10, and the SEC.
Well, this is just
So
for
if
the
I were
seeding. This
them-
is not for like the automatic qualifier BS that they want to put in there.
No,
The-
I understand that, but you would want to get as many of your teams in, and if your teams take up 10 of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 12 seeds, you don't want other conferences getting in there muddying the waters because they won their conference and you get an extra team in.
Well, it's not.
That would be
it's not
why-
well, they're guaranteed a spot anyway. It's just where they're at in the seeding. It's just more about the matchup you play,
Right. Yeah.
right? Like it's like the Big 12 being upset that like Kansas State or BYU probably should have made the playoff last year. In the new format, they're still not making the playoff. But if they did make the playoff, is BYU better than Boise State? Should BYU be able to host instead of Boise State? That's probably like where the Big 12 and the ACC are concerned. They don't want to get bounced out of a potential bye/home game if they think their team is better than the group of 5. It's really just they just don't want to. They want to make sure Boise State doesn't have a first round bye. That's basically what it is.
Radical idea on my part.
Yeah.
Can we just have 1 through 12 in the rankings be seeded 1 through 12? Like, is that a thing? Can we just do that?
No, I don't. I mean, the problem with that is just the committee and it's in general. But I mean, you could do that. If you wanted to.
Same problem with the playoff too.
Yeah, the playoff. It all goes back to the committee. That's the FCS has a great playoff. I don't know why they don't just do what the FCS does.
Because minor leagues.
Minor leagues. It's one division lower. They have 24 teams make it.
AAA is one league lower than Major League Baseball.
But it's not a minor leagues would be like Division II and JUCO. We do the recruiting out of it, where you get 2 years of eligibility and you bounce up. This is just, it's right there. It's one level below.
This is me getting you back for constantly poking me about the NFL schedules earlier this week, by the way.
Why aren't we having a full breakdown of that, by the way? FCS has 24 teams make the tournament. Everybody that wins their conference is in. You got a bunch of buys that are mixed in. It's such an easy fix. They just don't want to do it because they don't want to share any of the money. They just want to keep all the money for themselves. And that's why we have major problems in college athletics. Anyway, I digress. I could spend hours on that, and I'm sure we will in the fall when there's no more Padres baseball after they win the World Series, and we're just talking about college football. See what I did there? 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, talk a little bit about Brandon Lockridge and Manny Machado. We'll also get your phone calls as we continue on the Braden Surprenant Show, sending us on one sports station, 97 through the Fan. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Braden Surprenant. The WNBA season is tipping off, and you already know that I'm bringing my A game to Underdog. Now it's your turn to set your picks and roll to a win. Underdog is one of the leading sports apps, and the best part, you can play right now in your state. Their app has over 100,000 five-star reviews, and millions of players are already making their picks and cashing in. Playing on Underdog is a slam dunk. Just download the app and pick higher or lower on player stats like points, rebounds, assists, and more. Once your picks feel good, you can get in the game for as little as $1. And if you go perfect, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. That's $1 turning into 1,000 just by trusting your W Hoops knowledge. Download the Underdog app and sign up with the promo code Braden to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code Braden. Must be 18 years or older, 19 years or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 years or older in Colorado for some games, 21 and older in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. In New York, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. I just saw this on social media, and we need a contestant in the next break for our midday sports stand. And I feel like we just started the show, and we're almost done. I'll do it when you have a round
I
table.
was going to say, that's a nice thing about the round table.
833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. If you call in and take me down in sports trivia, you are qualified for a chance to win our grand prize, a trip to see Bruno Mars in Las Vegas, including 2 tickets to his show at Dolby Live at Park MGM on September 3rd, a 2-night stay at Park MGM, and a $100 gift card. Tickets on sale now. Ticketmaster.com. Got a fun question today. I just saw this on social media. Now our lunchtime hour is usually about food. You did get a question about it on social media. I saw that you put in the rundown. I feel like we've already talked about this, though, so I didn't really want to dive too much into the weeds.
I don't remember if we have.
We did the wing conversation already.
I don't know if I honestly don't know if we did.
We did do it. You just weren't here. I did with Adam. We did the wing. Adam's a big wings guy. Yeah, it was the Bills. They kind of spurred the chat on the wing topic. We didn't dive too much in the blue cheese versus ranch. I don't discriminate. I like both. But that was the question. Who was it by? Before I get to the other thing I saw on social media?
ForgeZB _ on Twitter.
And the exact question was?
The exact question was
blue cheese or ranch with hot wings. I do not discriminate with hot wings. Now, I do not like eating atomically hot wings. Mild is fine. Medium, fine. Today, when Roundtable brought some wings, I sampled one of each. They had a little garlic parm. They had a salt, pepper, lemon parm all on one. Wasn't bad. They had like a mild wing. They had some other like pepper wing. And then they had something that looked incredibly hot. I'm like, I'm not going to have that one. Before, I like spice, but not that much spice. But with like the wings itself, aside from to me, it's buffalo and garlic parm. Those are my favorite. I like bone in. I like boneless. I'm not on one side of the spectrum or on the other. I'm in the middle. I appreciate all wings. In terms of the sauce, I'm not going to be the guy that accidentally dips my drumstick into blue cheese, take a bite, and spit it out. I'm not that crazy, all right? I don't care. I will have both. I do not discriminate on the wings topic. You seem like you're ready to get something off your chest, like you're at confession or something like that, right? Blue cheese ranch? You're not a hot guy.
No, I'm not a hot guy.
Do you like wings?
Boneless, yeah. There's something to me.
I like the boneless too. And you know what? Call them chicken nuggets. I don't care. It's not going to offend me. It's not going to offend me.
I don't like the thought of or idea of biting into a piece of chicken that has a bone in it. Because then you're opening yourself up to biting into something you shouldn't, breaking it, and then swallowing it, which I don't.
The fear of choking.
Yeah, I don't do well with that.
With the chicken, chicken bones are small, and not all. And sometimes they break in there. And, I understand that. Are ribs different for you? Is it all bone-in stuff, or just like chicken wings?
Well, no. If the bone is big enough, if I am swallowing a rib bone, I'm too stupid to have ribs. Because I have a problem.
True. Yeah, you probably you're lucky to be alive at that point. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
I would go ranch. I would say
I like ranch too over blue cheese, but I'm not picky on that particular sense, and I don't mind having boneless. I think they're just easier to eat. I know
agree.
It's just chicken. I know it's just chicken nuggets, but and wing people get super defensive. I mean, you even got like the bone-in versus boneless, but even there's a divide in the bone-in between flats and drums. I don't care either way on those either. Don't care either way on those either. But the thing I saw, I wanted to get to that. We kind of briefly talked about it already, but not enough. I don't have any playbook stuff on the wings. But what I just saw on social media for the summertime, for all you golfers out there. Do you golf, Frank?
Poorly.
I didn't say if you're good or not. Do you physically go? Do you enjoy
very rarely
maybe going on a golf course?
Very rarely, but when I do enjoy it, yes.
I enjoy golf. I'm not an avid golfer like Ben. I'm not an avid golfer like Woods. I'm not an avid golfer like Scraby or like Chris Ello. When I golf, I'm there to have a good time. In fact, most of the time, I don't even know what I shoot. I don't think I've ever once played golf where I was like focused on my score. I'm just kind of like, I'm going to pick it up. Like, we're going to keep this thing going. I don't care that much. I'm here to maybe drink a couple beers, have a nice day on a beautiful afternoon like this, hit the ball as far as I can, get the one shot that will keep me coming back for more, shank about 15 and lose about $50 worth of balls elsewhere, and try not to break a over $100 window. That's kind of my day on a golf course.
That would be mine as well.
I have some really great shots. I have some very poor shots. I'll have drives one day that are just piped, and I will have chips that I look like a child trying to do it. There are some days I don't even bring out a wedge. It is straight Texas wedge. I get close. We're putting. Okay, so that's where I'm at. I'm not huge on the golf. I like golf. I'm not going to do it competitively. On June 16th, when I play in the Don's Alumni Golf Tournament that I helped put on, I'm there for a fun time. We get a ride there. We get a ride home. So we're going to have a blast on the golf course. And part of that is getting a drink from the cart girl or the turn. And I just saw a cart girl post this video. We can't play it. We probably could play the audio, but I'll just explain to it. She was asked to make, she didn't know for sure if this is what the guy said it was called. She claims it's called a water hazard. And this is what the water hazard was. Now, I'm sure you can make it non-alcoholic.
Please tell me, just as a joke, please tell me when somebody asks for a water hazard, at least one cart person just scooped up a cup of water from one of the water hazards. Please, just once, because that's my kind of comedy right there.
Depends on the golf course you're playing at. He asked for a water hazard, and then he explained to the girl how to make it. It was one shooter of vodka.
Okay.
She used Tito's as the house vodka on the cart. The house cart vodka. Gatorade, blue Gatorade, up to with this much room, almost like enough room that you would leave for cream for coffee. Does that set a nice picture for you?
Yeah.
Okay, so scoop of ice into the cup, shooter of vodka, Gatorade up to about what you would leave for cream, and then you top it with lemonade and Sprite. That sounds kind of refreshing.
Sounds really good, actually.
That sounds pretty money. That sounds a lot better than scooping some ice and dipping in the duck pond over there. That's the water hazard. But I tell you what, that sounds pretty good. So I guess the question should be, maybe it's for tomorrow's midday food time. What did you coin this?
The midday bite, the lunch hour bite down.
Lunchtime hour bite down. See, I think this plays for us because people are golfing right now. They could be listening to us. They need some inspiration to the cart girl or to the turn to get a drink. Mixing in the drinks in here as well is pretty. Cup of ice, vodka, blue Gatorade. It's got to be blue Gatorade. Otherwise, I mean, what kind of hazard water is that? Leave enough that you would leave for cream for coffee at the top. Floater of Sprite and lemonade. Don't ask me what that would cost. But I tell you what, that sounds pretty refreshing. That sounds better than a transfusion.
Has Gatorade made a sparkling Gatorade? Because that's all I can think about right now.
Didn't Propel have
Propel's not Gatorade.
I know, but didn't Propel have a sparkling water that was a thing?
I think they did. Now I got it. See, this is the only thing I'm thinking about now is, has Gatorade made a sparkling Gatorade?
Why would you make sparkling Gatorade if your whole thing is for athletes recovering?
Listen, man, don't try to logic my head, please. It's not going to go. It's not going to go well for you.
All right. Well, if you want to join our midday sports standoff, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Tomorrow might be the question. Might be go-to drink on the golf course. Some Diet Millers, some Diet Coors. Go with the beer that kind of slows you down. You do the transfusion. That's something in play. Or the new water hazard. That sounds pretty good, the water hazard. Talk about that tomorrow, maybe. We will find out whether or not Gatorade has made a sparkling Gatorade
They
when we come
have.
back. That's the tease, dude. We will also play our midday sports standoff. Braden Surprenant show continues.
Quinn
Is this real news, Frank? Did you get real news? Well, first of all, did the Gatorade have the whatever, the fizz?
Yes, they did. Gatorade did make a sparkling drink.
How long did that last?
It was known as Gatorade soda, or a carbonated version of the sports drink. In fact, Royal Crown Cola announced in 1986 that they would produce carbonated cola and citrus flavors of Gatorade. I didn't need to know that, but thank you. Apparently, they also made Gatorade gum as well.
I remember they started with these when I was in high school. They had these pre-workout Gatorade gummies. I'm pretty sure they still have those.
Those are good.
And our athletic training staff would give us those before games. That was like a brand new thing because we had to deal with Gatorade.
I just had them for the hell of it. Those were good.
Oh, they're delicious. Yeah.
Fantastic.
We all know, well, not everybody, but I think some people know that I thoroughly enjoy mascots. They're great. In fact, somebody asked me, it could have been Marcus and Menifee asked me like who my least favorite MLB mascot was. I think that's hard to determine. Maybe it's Blooper. I don't know. I don't necessarily hate Blooper. But we got some mascot news that we did want to wait for tomorrow's sports thread for. I don't even believe Frank when he says this is real. Are we confirming that this is real?
It was on.
What is our late? But
it was on his official Twitter.
You
account
cannot
with a video.
You cannot trust official official accounts of mascots. The whole thing is like kind of gotcha.
No, there's a video accompanying it of him doing the claim.
Okay.
There is
Blooper is now offering his services for what?
Gender reveals.
Wow.
So today, apparently, there was a gender reveal in between innings between the Bravos and the Nats. Braves won that game, by the way. Apparently, it's a girl. Apparently,
congratulations.
Blooper then followed up with only because it's been asked
about so that you could do gender reveals now.
Yes,
at Truist Park,
you could apparently
Blooper will do it.
You could apparently also serve divorce papers upon request. I can almost guarantee you next homestand someone is getting served at Truist Park.
That always sounds like, I mean, that's a miserable time, but could you imagine for a second? Just picture it. You show up to Petco Park. You're at a game with your wife, who's probably not going to be your wife for much longer. And you're sitting there. She leaves to go to the bathroom or something. Whatever. The friar comes back. And he sits down next to you. He puts his hand around you.
Sorry,
and he hands
bro.
you a stack of papers in which you are like, what is this? And it's a file for divorce. I'm trying to keep a straight face. Could you, what mascot would make that like even more ridiculous?
It's a Philly fanatic.
Philly fanatic would probably. Now, if it was Mr. Met, you would think like Mr. Met was cheating on your wife, like cheating on you. But like, imagine like Mr. Redlegs walks up. He's got the mustache and everything. He just walks up and just like, here. Wife says no mas. I mean, we're just talking about baseball mascots.
The Rockies mascot coming around. Dinger turning his head around, and then on top of his head is the stack of papers you've been served.
I got a better one.
San Diego chicken.
He hatches out of the egg on the field. Hands the divorce papers. Alex Miniak does the read. Oh my God!
But that feels like it's in character for the San Diego Chicken to do something like that.
Here's the one that would be the funniest: the St. Joe's Hawk. Do you know about the St. Joe's Hawk?
No.
He doesn't stop flapping his wings the entire game, so he just like cruises over, flapping his wings. He's got the papers in one thing. He hands it to you as he's flapping.
What Big Red from Western Kentucky? That would be
Big
another
Red!
ridiculous one.
Big Red, he pulls it out of his mouth. He opens his mouth wide, and there's papers sitting there. It's the divorce papers for I'm your wife.
South Carolina Gamecock. That's another one. That's another one that I would
my
not want to get
God.
served papers from.
Blooper has opened a can of worms right now.
If there's one thing as a Met fan that I like about the Atlanta Braves, it has what Blooper has become. Because Adam knows, I've sent him pictures. Just Blooper in the rain in an empty ballpark, laying on top of the dugout.
Have you seen the sad dinger in like the catacombs? He's just like sitting there.
Blooper standing in the middle of the outfield in the middle of a blizzard, just looking up.
Big Red.
Like, are you okay?
Big Red. Opening up his mouth, pulling out divorce papers and handing them to you. What a new business we've created here.
I got the winner. Again,
we got another one?
I've got the winner. Again,
Okay.
This feels like it's in character. Gritty. Gritty. That's it. Gritty is the only one that could do
I mean,
mascot
some of them would be
servings now.
kind of like extreme with like Jazz Bear, or as Adam Paul in the chat says, the gorilla from the Suns comes like hang gliding into the stadium. What's that? His hand drops it to the person as he lands in the stadium.
Benny the Bull.
I mean, I think Big Red might be the best college one. St. Joe's Hawk just doing the
Could
flapping.
Could you imagine you're getting ready for the start of the game? This hits. Out walks to just a sea of smoke machines and fog machines. Benny the Bull. He's not walking out to center court.
He's walking to your...
He's walking to the front row seats and hands you divorce papers while this is playing in the background.
If you really want, like, I could see men doing this more than women, but you never know. Imagine how much you have to, like, really no longer love this person.
To just humiliate them in front of 50,000 people.
To have another human being wearing a gigantic Muppet costume at a sporting event. It doesn't have to be at a sporting event. I don't even think it needs to be at Truist Park. Knocking on the door. You open the door. It's Big Red from West Kentucky. Doesn't say anything. He's just looking at you. First of all, that would just make your mind explode.
That's all he does anyway. He just stares at you.
And then he just like opens his mouth. And it's just sitting there, divorce papers.
Like the Big Red mailbox.
The imagine, like think about the emotions there. At one point, you're sitting there going like, this is kind of funny. But at all the other points, you're like, this is ridiculous.
I would be...
How much would you have to... And neither of us are married, but how much do you would have to not like this person anymore? And how much money would you spend on the mascot to do this?
I'm just picturing what would happen if I opened the door and Big Red was there. It would take me about 2 to 3 hours to, one, comprehend the reality of what happened long enough to actually open the papers that he gave me.
Billy the Marlin.
It's
like
he
through
just hands it to you on the nose.
On the nose. Let's get to today's midday sports stand-up. J-Mock in the chat. Imagine Big Bird blows down the door. You see that meme?
Yeah.
Boom. She doesn't love you no more, dude. It's over. You know what? Forget the divorce thing. Breakups now. To outdo the promposals, you have mascots dishing out breakups to teenagers.
This is awful. We gotta go quick here.
Charles and Ramona, you're on the Midday Sports Stand-Up. What's going on, man? I'm doing a lot better than I was about 10 minutes ago, I'll tell you that. You know the rules of today's game, or does Frank need to explain? That's right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you get an answer that repeats, you get multiple points. Whoever's got the most points will win today's contest. Frank, take it away.
All right. So today's topic: MLB World Series winners since 2000. We got to do something to get somebody a win here. Charles, you ready to go? All right.
This will be one with multiple
Take
answers.
your pick. Yes.
Just pick a team.
Yeah. Pick a team.
There you go.
Yep,
How many
that's-
points did you get for that?
That is 1.5.
2020 doesn't count.
Nope.
Boston Red Sox.
Yes. All right. That is 1, 2,
Actually, 3,
Yeah,
eh?
3 points there.
All right.
St. Louis Cardinals, or no, San Francisco Giants.
San Francisco. That's another 3. So you're up to 4.5. Braden.
I'll take the Cardinals.
Cardinals. That is 2. So you're up to 5.
Frank, put the call and record on the board.
I got it. Yes, sir.
All right.
Joe?
I think the you said the Cardinals already.
Yes.
Yep.
Chicago White Sox.
That is
5.
1.
Jermaine Dye. I will go with the other team in Chicago, the Cubs. That's one
That
as
is
well.
another 1. So Charles, you're trailing by half a point here.
Half is killing me.
Houston Astros.
Houston Astros. That would be 2 points. 7.5.
Atlanta Braves. 1.
Atlanta Bravos. That is 1. So that is 7.
How many are on this deal?
The Philadelphia Phillies.
Philadelphia Phillies are correct. That is another point. So 8.5.
Arizona Diamondbacks. 1-1.
That is a 1.
You said since 2000?
Yes, since 2000.
Washington Nationals.
It's another 1.
Halos.
Another 1.
1.
You're leading by half a point now, Charles. And we're coming up to time here, so you might get a timeout victory here.
Let's go.
The Marlins.
10.5.
Texas Rangers.
Still a half a point up.
The New York Yankees. I know they.
12.5. I'm surprised you didn't play the shot clock game there. Braden.
Are we?
Oh,
how many
I
more
could've done
teams?
that.
How many more teams do we have left?
There's still a couple.
Let's see.
All is the last one. You got to get. I don't think you have a chance to win this.
I don't think I do either.
No, you don't.
Ran out of time.
Charles, congratulations. Our second winner.
There we go.
There you go.
Who are we missing?
Missing the Royals.
The Royals.
Missing them.
Angels, right?
I said
Yep.
the Angels.
Yeah, I
already.
think it was just the Royals.
Just the Royals. That was it.
Oh, did we say the Angels?
Off we go.
We did. Next break. That was pretty funny. Serving divorce papers at the from a mascot. I can't believe that. There's no way that's real. It's just got to be blooper kind of trolling people.
I
But
can't believe I found something about the Atlanta Braves I like.
here's like a bunch of the people like in the chat that were talking about like what mascot would be the worst to get like basically told that your significant other is breaking up with you. Sending a mascot to do it. Sushi Sam goes Miss Met, LOL. TRM1 goes San Diego Chicken.
Yeah, but
Jacob
again,
Gibbert said Gulliver, the Colts mascot. Do you remember the seal? Like Lou Seal, like flips the sunglasses up. There you go, buddy. Slaps you on the ass. Sorry about it. Got to get back tomorrow. Flush it.
Buffalo University has Victor E. Bull. I can't imagine. Now, it's not that he's a crazy mascot, but could you imagine your biggest loss, a divorce, or the loss of a family member, coming to you from something named Victor E. Bull?
I mean, there's a lot of mascots out there, like Scott E. Pippen. I forget where he's at. He's up in the, I know, but
Victor
like,
E. Victory.
I know. That's not great. Adam Paul said gorilla. The Sun's gorilla. Stanford Tree with his look handing them to you. Because it's like a human hand coming through the tree. That's another one. Like those mascots that are humans, but they got like the animal face, like the Power Cat, like Kansas State, Willie the Wildcat. An ugly mascot. Pistol Pete, one of the Pistol Petes.
This one's for Woodsy, and I don't wish this upon them at all.
Don't do
wonderful.
that. Don't do that.
Could you imagine the Notre Dame leprechaun? That's why I thought of Woods for no other reason, because he's a Notre Dame fan. The Notre Dame leprechaun.
J-Mock says Big Bird. Eddie Wills in the chat said it needs to be inside a stadium to cancel out the in-game wedding proposals.
Fair.
If they put it on the video
fair.
board, if they put it on the video board and it was the Friar or Red Ruff or Blue Muse handing out divorce papers on the video board and Alex Miniak doing an announcement.
No,
oh my God, that would be cold.
No, what would be worse? When they have the dog days, when they have the dogs running down.
Oh, yeah.
Could you imagine if poor little Rookie?
Oh, Rookie has it in his
handed
mouth.
You divorce.
Oh, God.
That would crush me. You want to break me as a man? Have a cute little puppy hand me divorce papers. I'm done after that. If I can live
emotions right there.
If I can live through that, I can live through anything.
Go Aztecs on Twitch. Little Red from Nebraska, so you can hit him like a punching bag. Like punt. You know, he's like the inflatable guy. That'd be good.
See the Hamburglar in here.
Yeah, Lou Seal from the Giants is funny. What else we got on there? And then we got to the game, the Hamburglar. Purdue Pete. Purdue Pete might be one of the scariest mascots ever.
Don't say that too loud. I have a friend who's probably listening who's an alum of Purdue. He will light this chat up.
And Purdue Pete might be one of the scariest mascots on the planet. Could you imagine Purdue Pete knock on your door at like 10 o'clock at night?
I call him the Purdoof.
The Purdue. Purdue Pete handing you divorce papers at 10 o'clock at night on your front porch.
And then there's Grimace.
Let's not get into the Grimace thing. R.I.P. Grimace. Is he part of the Mets still now? Or still? Or?
No.
1 year only?
No, we have a rally raccoon now as of last night. They didn't win, but I'm sure there's going to be something. The rally raccoon.
Purdue Pete sticking his like face and his eye into like your Ring camera.
Dear God.
It's like like Sushi Sam says, a start of a horror movie. That is frightening. Do we got to pull up a picture of Purdue Pete?
No.
We don't want to scare our audience like that.
No. Snowflake from Ace Ventura.
All right. The whole context of this conversation was
it's gone now.
Blooper, the Atlanta Braves mascot. They had a gender reveal for a couple for their new child at Truist Park. And Boltman. They did a gender reveal blooper. And blooper in the comments on social media said, I will also do divorce papers, which spurred what would be the most insane mascot to give you divorce papers, or to get at your wife, or to send the divorce papers to the mascot. I wouldn't. Providence Friar is pretty scary looking too. Boltman would be hilarious because he's not an official mascot. It's just a dude's suit. I bet you Boltman would do it. Just knocks on your door.
Wouldn't surprise me.
The Chargers are breaking up with you. They're moving to LA.
That was rude.
It's okay. You sometimes got to laugh at yourself. Let's get back on track with the Padres. We already talked about the Friar handing out divorce papers or something. That'd be just diabolical. Yesterday, Darvish pitched 4 innings against the Las Vegas Aviators, allowing 2 runs on 2 hits, including a 2-run homer. In the first inning, he struck out 4 and walked 1, throwing 51 pitches, just shy of his targeted 60 to 65 pitch count. According to MLB.com and Jeff Sanders, who reported it for the San Diego Union-Tribune. Darvish's performance suggests he's close to rejoining the Padres' rotation. Manager Mike Schilt indicated that Darvish might not require additional rehab starts, emphasizing the veteran's experience and self-awareness in determining his readiness. So Darvish should be on the return sooner rather than later. And I saw this comment earlier from Go Aztecs from Twitch. He was driving around and missed some of the context of the Darvish thing. Are you discounting what Darvish did against the Dodgers last year, or just more comfortable with him adjusting to the spot? And what I brought up earlier is because Randy Vásquez has been pitching so well, could he potentially be better than a number 5 starter? I think he could be. You don't really have a use for Randy Vásquez in the playoffs out of the bullpen. So my question was, maybe you move somebody else to the bullpen when it comes to playoff time. This is, again, putting the cart before the horse way down the road. I would trust Darvish to be able to flip to be a bullpen guy with his veteran experience than I would to throw Randy Vásquez back in the bullpen. That's kind of the logic on that. Not to say I'd rather see Randy Vásquez start a particular game in the postseason over a guy like Darvish who has experience doing playoff baseball. I trust you to be able to flip things more. Plus, I kind of like having that extra piece of knowledge in the bullpen during playoff time with him just out there. We saw it last year briefly. They never pulled him out of the bullpen to pitch in that first series. But I think he was making an impact back there. I think he's teaching those guys some stuff. So from that particular instance, if it gets down to that situation and Vásquez continues to pitch like he's been pitching, that is what I would like to see in October. Now, what do you do when Darvish comes back? Talking with people at, around the clubhouse and around the ballpark about the Padres and their plan for June. It is expected and likely that they will go to a 6-man rotation for at least a portion of June. Not the entire stretch that we've talked about going to be very difficult for the Padres. Not the entire month of June, but during a portion of that particular stretch in June what the Padres have to do really well in. Don't be surprised if they go through once, maybe twice through the rotation with a 6-man rotation. Just to kind of get an extra arm in there. I'm okay with that. Some people are not. I think you got to try to keep your starting arms fresh as long as possible. But I'm okay with that. But after that, when you do decide to go to a 5-man rotation, you have a very difficult decision to make. Now, that being said, it could, and this is what usually happens, it usually plays itself out. Either you get an injury or somebody comes back down to earth or what have you. But if you look at, and before we talk about what does Darvish do coming back for the Padres, which I think he does a lot in terms of the rotation shuffle, the question is that we kind of asked last week and will continue to ask until it happens, especially since these pitchers are pitching incredibly well, the two that are in particular that might be the odd man out. What do you do with the staff when Darvish comes back, and who is the odd man out when the staff is fully healthy? When you have King, Cease, Pivetta, Darvish all healthy, mix now in with Steven Kolick, who's been great in the 2 outings that he's had, albeit against not great competition, but has thrown 14 and a half shutout innings. And a guy like Randy Vásquez, who continues to improve. He has had a couple of spots in which he hasn't been great, but as a number 5 starter, he's been great. And he is really starting to trend in the right direction. You don't really want to mess with that too much. Who is the odd man out? Do you keep rolling with the hot hand of Kolick if he continues to pitch well? Do you go with Randy Vásquez, who has given you more stability? You know what you're going to get out of Vásquez a little bit more, and he continues to improve. Will it stymie his improvement if you send him down to AAA? These are all a lot of questions that need to be answered for the Padres moving forward, especially with you, Darvish, coming back. I think the Padres should do what I will tell you when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 117 on a Thursday, leading into a fun Friar Friday tomorrow. Ben and Woods will get us kicked off, followed by myself and then Gwen and Chris. And then we got the Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show at 5:40 tomorrow before the Padres take on the Mariners at 6:40. Mariners are red hot. First place in the American League West. Game 1 of 6 for the Vetter Cup. Winner of the Vetter Cup gets a trophy this year. Not bad.
I think they, yeah, I was going to say, I think they do. It's
They get a
designed
trophy.
by Eddie Vedder himself.
Yeah, it looks
actually.
nice. Got to take 2 out of 3 at least. Take your chances in Seattle. I'd love to see this thing come down to exit velocity. I really would. In the first year? You kidding me? Wow. Be awesome. Take 2 out of 3 here. Win by a combined 15-10 or something like that. Go up there, lose 2 out of 3 by a combined 15-10. And it's Xander Bogaerts' exit velo at T-Mobile Park that puts the Padres over the edge for the Vetter Cup. Comes down to the final innings. You're thinking about, oh man, we got to win by 2 right here. It's going to come down to exit velo. Padres got the lead in exit velo. Bogaerts in the 9th inning. Down enough runs where it doesn't matter. 106. Oh! Dump the cooler on him.
What would be worse, winning it by exit velo alone, or losing it by 0.02 exit velo? What would be worse?
This is the best outcome right here. Padres take 2 out of 3. They're +5 in run differential. They lose 2 out of 3 in Seattle by 5 run differential. Losing the game on Sunday. So they lose the game, but because of the exit velo, they win the exit velo battle. And so after losing the game on Sunday, they get presented the trophy because they hit a couple of hard hit balls in the 9th inning. Top of the 9th inning, you're trailing by whatever. The Padres have to score a run. They're going to lose the game, but if they score 1 run, they get over the top. They strand the runner at third with 2 outs, but in that inning, the Padres get enough exit velo out of their batters to win the Vetter Cup, and then they dump Gatorade on the batter that had the best exit velo in that game. That is the best outcome for that. That would be the funniest outcome. You'd see it all over MLB Network, all over the place. First year of it, too. Coming down to the wire. It's coming down to the wire. Good stuff. That'll be tomorrow. Gwen and Chris will be on after me at 2 o'clock, and then coming up at 5 o'clock, re-airing of the Roundtable, and then at 6 o'clock, you venture into Scrabistan with all the Scrabinators. And that'll be the end of the Thursday. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Padres off day. We talked about you, Darvish, Randy Vásquez, Stephen Kolek. Darvish should be a part of the rotation here coming up soon. And with that, do you move Vásquez or Kolek out of the rotation? I think they will go with a 6-man rotation for a little bit, but when everybody's healthy, who's part of the rotation? Do you go with the hot hand right now in Stephen Kolek? And now, again, he could get rattled. He could get rocked tomorrow, and it makes it a little bit easier of a conversation. But assuming that Kolek continues to pitch well and Vásquez continues to pitch well, how do you lay out your rotation? For me, as I went to break before I answered the question, I'm going with Vásquez. I think Vásquez with more experience will bring a little bit more to your game. I think it's more beneficial for him to not get sent down to AAA to work on things, especially with what he's doing and improving each and every start now. The last couple of starts out, I think Randy Vásquez stays in the rotation. I think he's been pitching well enough to stay in the rotation for the remainder of the season. Now, obviously, everything can change. But even though Kolek has done extremely well in his 2 starts, he has not allowed a run yet. I mean, he's due to probably allow a run. I think you have to go with Vásquez over Kolek. Now, Vásquez gets touched up the next couple of starts, and Kolek continues to throw up zeros. I think the conversation is slightly different, but that's who I'd go with. You know, as of right now, if you had to reset your rotation and go, you know, you're going to start it up again, like it's like All-Star break. You go in Pivetta 1, you go in Michael King 1. I like the way Pivetta's been pitching. I'd probably go Pivetta 1, I'd go King 2, I'd go Cease 3, I'd go Darvish 4, and I'd go Vásquez 5. Although, if you went King 1 and Pivetta 2, I don't think it'd be that big of a problem. That's how I'd lay it out. We'll see how Kyle Hart does and continues to do in AAA. He needs to work on his location a lot and his command, because he's a one pitch. He's got one elite pitch, and then everything after that is okay. Not a high velocity guy. When you're not a high velocity guy, you got to be able to hit your spots and get guys to ground out and get guys to get themselves out. Randy Vásquez does a good job with that, and he's got more than just one pitch. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Saturated Fats in the YouTube chat weighs in on the mascot surfing divorce papers. Gritty would be epic. Tough to argue with that. Very tough to argue with that. I did want to take a look on Thursdays. It's good to take a look at what the minor leagues are doing, the minor league report. El Paso, last night at Darvish pitched for them. They're 20-21 in the year. And despite Darvish's solid outing, El Paso fell 6-4 to Las Vegas. Clay Duncan, the shortstop for the Chihuahuas, went 3 for 4 with 3 doubles. And outfielder Oscar Gonzalez hit his 5th homer of the season. It's good to see Oscar Gonzalez continue to swing a good bat down in there in AAA El Paso for hopefully another call-up later in the year. AA San Antonio, they're now 1 game under 500, 17-18 on the year. Shut out 6-0 by Midland, the Midland Rockhounds. Victor Lizarraga struggled as a starter yesterday for the Missions, allowing 6 runs over 3 1/3 innings. Marcos Castañon, the second baseman, and catcher Brandon Valenzuela each recorded 2 hits in the loss for the Missions. High A Fort Wayne, the Tin Caps are 19-16 on the year after they lost 7-0 to West Michigan. Clark Candiotti allowed 4 runs while recording just 2 outs. And right fielder Braden Carpathios had 2 of the team's 3 hits. So not a great night for the Tin Caps. In the California League in Single A, Lake Elsinore, Storm 15-20 on the year. They lost to Fresno last night 3-0. Vermetti, the starting pitcher Will Vermetti impressed, striking out 8 over 5 1/3 innings while allowing 1 run. The offense managed only 2 singles in the loss for Lake Elsinore. El Paso lost, the Missions lost, Fort Wayne lost, and Lake Elsinore lost. All 3, how about that? All 4 teams in the Padres minor league system yesterday lost. Only one of them scored runs. El Paso scored 4 runs yesterday against Las Vegas. If it wasn't for that, they would have been outscored. They're outscored 19-4 in their 4 games yesterday. It would be 12. That would be 12, so 19, 22. 22-4 would be the score between the Padres minor league affiliates and who they played last night. Not a great night, but it's all right. It's all about development down there in the lower leagues. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Marcus, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, guys? You called me out. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. You had the wing stuff for sure.
Have to win for that. All right. Okay. So, hey, guess what? Guess what happened last night? Bogey hit a home run.
That's right.
Not just any home run, a 3-run home run. And not just any 3-run home run at Petco, not a cheapy ballpark like New York or Coors Field. How about that, chat?
How about that,
Bogey,
chat?
bogey.
Absolutely, Marcus. I love it. You're gonna incite some people with those comments.
Oh yeah, hey, we won. We didn't lose. What'd I
True.
say
It's a
yesterday?
dub. It's a dub.
We got the
Absolutely.
dub.
Marcus, we appreciate the
And
phone
one last
calls.
thing.
Oh yeah, what do you got?
One last thing. A couple days ago, Scraby was threw a little compliment at you for some fried chicken recipe.
That's right.
And, Tony was going to take a challenge at you, but what's kind of ironic now is that he's on the fat loss side.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
I only make fried chicken once a year, dude, because it's not good for you at all. Not good for you at all. Does Tony, what? I didn't hear that part. Tony does he want to try the fried chicken, or does he think he can make better fried chicken? I'm all in favor of. I'm not. All I said is I know I can make fried chicken better than the Colonel does. Isn't that what I said?
That was what you said, yes.
Some good stuff, dude. I like it crisp, like nice crisp. I should have talked to Tony about it. See him in about 30 minutes or so. Get the deets on that. The problem is it's like you fry it in like peanut oil. I mean, seed oils are terrible. You should never consume seed oils ever. That's why it's like once a year, sure. But you should never consume seed oils. And unfortunately,
I'm already out of
the
it.
best fried chicken, you're cooking in some nasty seed oils, bro. I've never tried it in the air fryer. I'm sure it's probably good there. It's probably not the same, though. Like, if you want the authentic thing, you got to go all in. But it's not something that you want to be eating all the time. Anyway. Marcus inciting the chat on the other thing, too. Hey, it's gone in every ballpark. I asked if it counted if it was against Kyle. Hey, does it count if it's against Kyle Hendricks, or are we just not counting that because he throws 79 miles an hour? Does it count that it was hit to the shortest part of the park? Yeah, 390 feet, man. 393 feet. That is gone in every ballpark. But anyway, I digress. San Diego FC won yesterday. We'll get you an update on the NBA playoffs and the Stanley Cup playoffs. We will also talk a little bit about Manny Machado and Brandon Lockridge that we missed earlier to finish up the show as we pass it along to Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, and Matt Scraby to finish up our day on 97 through the Fan.
Gwynn and
Final segment of the Braden Surprenant Show. Suit and Jacket by, oh man, what's the band? I was just listening to that song today. Judah and the Lion. That's what it is. Ball knower. I haven't heard that song in a long time. I mean, I know it's on the rotation here for some of the rejoiners that we have. And I got some new music I want to add to that I will add when I have time. But it's kind of good. It's funny. I was listening to that song today. It comes up today, which is great. We try to keep the music as fresh as possible. A lot of the favorites that I have are in our rejoiners. A lot of alt rock. That was the seventh inning stretch question today. It's like your favorite type of rock music. I like a lot of rock music, but I was like like the alt punk merge is like is Blink-182 alter? I don't know, and I don't need anybody to like school. I don't know what the genres are. There's like specific. Are they more of a punk rock band or like an alt band? It's kind of like a mix. It's not like the new alt stuff.
We're going to be wrong either way, man.
I mean, the guys that are in Blink live here. If they're like driving around, I don't want to like piss them off. They're I'm going to piss off Tom about like what it is. Pop punk. It's not punk. It is punk. It's not. I mean, I don't know what it is, nor do I care. But that style is what I like. How about that? And then people are like, the real music people are going to list bands I've never heard of in my entire life. I've never heard of Dead Kennedys. Ever. And this always spurs a conversation. How do you not know what so-and-so band is? And my response is, how do you not know who Chris Dealman is? Or insert backup player here. Look, I like music. I couldn't tell you the name of everybody I couldn't tell you the name of anybody in any band. Barely. I could barely tell you the names of the people that are in the bands that I actually listen to. Don't know any of them. I also could not really tell you a lot of actors' names or actresses. I could tell you what movies they're in. Oh, that's that character from that movie. Oh, so this person. I don't know. Is that their name? I don't know what their name is. And so when people go, it goes both ways. People go, how do you know all this information about sports? I respond with, it's not like I know all this stuff. It's just the stuff that I'm keeping in my noggin is more sports than it is anything else. Couldn't tell you anything about movies. I like movies. I could tell you about some of the directors that make said movies. I can explain a lot of the movies. But the people in the movies, couldn't tell you who they are. Or in TV shows. I don't watch TV. I watch sports on TV. If I'm watching television that's not sports, it's usually movies. It's very rare do I watch television. But, again, I don't know any of that stuff. I know a lot about things that I'm interested in, but not common things for categories I'm not interested in. Does that make sense? You follow me along, Frank?
I would, yeah. Would make sense.
I've been on a handful of dates where somebody's like, the girl's like, how do you not know who so-and-so is? How do you not know about this place? My response is, you know who Big Red is? I can tell you a lot about Big Red. What are your thoughts on Kadeem Carey?
Maybe that's why we're still single. Maybe that might play a factor in it.
You got to be a well-rounded individual. I mean, I know ball about a lot of things. Where I do not know ball, actors' names, actresses' names, people in bands. I do know artists and bands' names, and I can guess. I could do like the name the song, and I'm pretty knowledgeable in that because I know older music a little bit more.
Let's get a couple of them. Do you know who Prince is?
Yeah. I'm not,
Elton John.
Yes.
Queen.
Come on. The old stuff. Yeah.
Freddie Mercury.
Yes.
Okay. At least you know
Lead singer, Queen.
some of the best.
Yes. Pop singers currently?
I couldn't tell you who some of them are.
No.
Most of them are.
It's come to a point now where like TMZ or any of those Entertainment Tonight will come up and like, oh, so-and-so did this.
Good for them.
Who is that? I don't know who that is. You know where I find that a lot? The Celebrity All-Star Softball game. I don't know anybody in that. Most of them are YouTube people. There's a lot of, like, the Padres do a good job of bringing in famous people from all these entities. I do not know who any of them are. Multi-platinum award-winning recording artist so-and-so. Never heard of them. YouTuber, this person. Like, they're getting paid hundreds of thousands of, like, millions of dollars doing what they do. I have no idea what they do. I have no idea who they are. Ever. I never know who they are. It's just not something I watch. That's like the kids I coach. They all think I host a podcast. Like, this is a podcast only.
You more or less do.
Kind of is. And I said, no, I'm on the radio. What is that? It's like a live podcast.
Yeah, it's the original podcast.
Yeah, exactly. You should get so-and-so on your podcast. I probably shouldn't. No. It was like last year with the what's the Haktua girl, whatever. Like they were like, you know,
Haley Welsh.
Yeah. Coach, you should try to get her on your podcast.
No,
I
we should not.
I should not do that. That would be a bad idea. As they say in Ghostbusters, that would be catastrophically bad. No. So yes, there's some things I do know. I do know a lot of ball about grilling and cooking. Know some music. You start getting into the genres, I can't really tell the difference. That's why today I had to like explain a little bit of what's going on. With where I was going, I ended up going with like country rock, like Treaty Oak Revival is a new band that I like, newer band that I like. They're from Odessa. I think they're pretty good. They're more they sound more rock than they sound country. So I guess the country rock kind of deal. What's wrong with that, Captain?
Croc.
Yeah. What is a topic, Frank, that's not sports that you know a lot about that people wouldn't know you know a lot about? That's not sports.
See, this is where the nerd comes in. Trains and planes.
Nice. What about trains and planes?
Like I could tell you, like air traffic patterns. I could probably tell you a pretty.
You and Scraby like to talk about that a lot. Scraby's super into that.
Yeah, I didn't know how into it he was as far as trains. I could probably run the MTS trains.
Wow.
By just looking at a couple of different things because I play train sim.
Oh, nice.
And a lot of trains are set up somewhat similar. So if you know what to look for and know where to look for it, you can probably figure it out.
Okay.
Which is probably why train sim doesn't have too many different trains because people like to pretend real life is a video game. So I've heard.
You probably know the answer to this question, though.
Go ahead.
When I was in college, I was a business minor. So
Okay.
I have a business minor from a great business school, Neely School of Business. And we had a representative from BNSF come to our supply chain management class.
Mm-hmm.
How many railroads in the United States are owned and operated by the federal government?
By the federal government? I don't think any.
Correct.
Yeah.
Every railroad
It's
you
all
see in the United
private-
States are all
private owned, yeah.
private owned.
Mm-hmm.
They're all run by either BNSF or Union Pacific, Southern Pacific, all
Norfolk
those roads.
Southern.
And then all
Burlington.
those coasters and stuff rent the tracks. But those tracks are not government property.
Nope.
Those are all private property.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, we're no longer talking about sports. To answer my own question, trying to think of things that I know a lot about. Probably cooking. Probably.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I'm really into cooking. In a different life, I'd own a bar and a restaurant. Not now, though.
Mike B in the chat. Now do prisons.
No, don't listen to Mike B. Mike B spelled my name with a Y, dude. Sorry, kid on soccer team spells with a Y. He spells his name wrong. That is a bit that I will do. And there's a lot of Bradens now. And I'm not the first Braden to ever exist. There was Bradens before me. And there's a lot different spellings of Bradens now. But if I see a Braden spelling that is not Braden, I will immediately say he spells his name wrong.
Fair.
There are Bradens on USD's baseball team. At least there was one last year. There's Bradens on TCU's. I immediately do. You spell your name wrong. Your parents spelled your name wrong. It's incorrectly spelled. No E's, no I's, no Y's. It's Braden.
Well, if there's no
That is
E's, then how do you get the D
It's at the end.
bit?
I'm talking about in the middle.
Oh,
To
okay.
make the A part of Braden, no Y's, no AE's, no AI's, none of that nonsense. They all spell their name wrong. And I'm sticking to that. I got that from my friend Jordan. Jordan probably spells his name wrong compared to all Jordans. If you were to spell Jordan, how would you spell Jordan for me?
JOR. This why can't I?
DAN.
Yeah, that's like now I could see why Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader is hard because it's such an obvious answer, but the way you ask it makes it seem like that can't be the right answer.
Don't do math on the radio. Don't spell on the radio.
But you literally just asked
I
me
know,
to spell
but
on the
you
radio.
put on the spot. Jordan. That is probably the most common way to spell Jordan.
Yes.
He spells his name Jordon. Jordan. He goes by
Okay.
Jordan.
I was expecting a Y in there.
No, anybody that does not spell their name Jordon, he spells his name wrong. I don't mind that bit.
So Michael spells his name wrong.
Yeah, he does, apparently.
Got it.
It's not O-N.
We're getting a plethora
We
of
are
spellings.
getting spellings that I get at Starbucks is what we're getting. And most of the time it's Brandon. Today, that actually happened today at Starbucks. I ordered my drink. And now with the app, since it's hooked up to your name and stuff like that, I don't have to tell them my name. Scan the card, prints on the ticket. So it prints on the ticket the correct spelling. Braden. Guys making my drink. There's like 17 of these people today. I went to the one in Carmel Valley, over in between Canyon Creek. We had football practice this morning, so after football, I went and got Starbucks. And I used to work at Starbucks, so like I know the inner workings of Starbucks. So today I had to actually order at the counter because that particular Starbucks in their system said they're out of iced coffee, and I said BS. Nobody's ever had iced coffee.
You liar!
Go take it off the thing. So I had to go in there. I had enough time. We ended practice at 7:30. It's whatever. I roll in there. I order the coffee, and I go, I'll have an iced coffee. 2 pumps of vanilla. Venti iced coffee, 2 pumps of vanilla, no classic. Would you like room for cream? No, not. I don't use cream in my coffee anymore. So we're out of iced coffee. And I was like, are you actually out of iced coffee? And I'm like, there's no way.
Do you have ice?
The manager was like, no, we have iced coffee. And she's like, well, the system here says, I'm like, oh, that's why I couldn't order. Order it, scan, bang. One of the other guys is making my iced coffee, which is the easiest thing to make at Starbucks because everything's pre-made. I know all the recipes and everything like that. It's all relatively the same. 2 pumps, iced coffee to this line, ice, lit it, let's go. The guy gets the thing. It's the first time this has ever happened to me. Order for Brandon. I'm just so used to that all the time. Yep. Barista that made it behind him. Dude, it's Braden good. Says it right there. Corrects the manager. It's Braden, man. It's not even hard to say. Guy was like, it's not even hard to say. It's right there. Braden. Hilarious. I didn't have to say it. I never correct people on my name because I'm so used to like first day of school was always like Brandon. And here's the problem with first day of school. I went to St. Michael's, kindergarten through 8th grade. I was with the same 60 kids every single year to 8th grade. So I knew who was in my class. When you get to high school and college and they're going like through roll first day, I'm sitting there going like, okay.
Bracing.
There could be Brandons in this class. And so I'd have to pause and be like, is that for me?
Maybe it's me.
It's like the meme for the kid that got drafted on there. He's like, me? Me?
Yeah.
Be like, wait, is Brandon here? Brandon's gone. Is it Braden? No, you're later on the list. And then you look like an ass. And it's like, well, okay. So I would never correct anybody on my name. You're supposed to because people want to get right. Now in this industry, trying to get names right. I want to make sure I'm getting the name right. But I'd never correct people on it. And I should. Now, especially trying to get people to watch your show, listen to your show. You should probably get the Braden Surprenant show instead of the Brandon Surprenant show. I feel like is it bad to correct people on their name? Like I feel like I'm being rude if I correct somebody on my name that's getting it wrong.
It's easier and harder for me at the same time. Frank's fairly easy.
How do you screw up Frank?
I get Mark sometimes. Like
Mark?
some people, like when I give my name for an order like that, some people hear Mark. But my last name is the one that I always have to do it with. And you never, ever give your last name for anything that's not important. So like I'm always like, it was graduations.
Yeah.
Interviews, stuff like that. That's always where you have to correct it. And it's usually after it's already said wrong on the record where it's that you correct it afterwards. Yeah. So it is easier for me because you can't screw up the first name, but it's the last name always at important stuff.
I kind of agree with Mike B in the chat. I don't have time to care if a stranger messes up my name, and I feel bad. He's like, just don't mess up the order. Fair enough. But again, I got to sit there and wait. It's like, is there a guy here named Brandon, or is that actually mine?
The Superintendent Show. There you go.
We could talk about my last name tomorrow if we wanted to. I've gotten a lot of different ones for that. For Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant signing off. Coming up next, Gwen and Chris and Matt Scraby, Gwen and Chris Show, 77 Sports Station 970 The Fan.